Yo, what's going on, guys? Steel Vico here, and welcome back to another video. And in this video, I'm doing another unboxing from Spirit Halloween before it closed, before I stopped working there for the 2022 Halloween season. I actually bought this at the 50% off sale. I just haven't gotten around to making an unboxing and setup video of him yet until now. And so that's what we're doing today. And so today I have, as you saw from the title, Bog Zombie. And this one was actually the display model that I actually got to set up in store for the location that I worked at. And so this isn't going to be a traditional cookie cutter unboxing because he's already been set up once before, so the plastic wrapping and stuff that he used to be in he's no longer in, and he's not put back exactly how he was when he was shipped to the store. But everything's in there, so it still should be pretty straightforward. All the contents are going to be exactly the same, all of that. So that being said, let's get into it. So based on how I have it, the first thing in the box is actually his head, which, as with a lot of animatronics, is my favorite part, of course. And this is actually a really good head mold. There's no warping of the latex at all. It still kind of has that latex smell to it, and it just looks awesome. Definitely a huge selling point of this animatronic. And unfortunately, some of his moss that's on his head got a little stuck there. But you can get a good look of at his head right here. Hopefully the lighting's a little weird. I know this is kind of a different setup. I'm having to do it now because I don't want to do it where I was previously doing it because the lighting is not very good. It kind of gets grainy in the video. And I know this is a little weird as well, but hopefully you can kind of get an idea. I know it's getting washed out by the light there. But very cool, and from a distance I'm sure you can kind of get a good look for him, and hopefully that quality allows for you guys to see most of his detail on his face, but definitely my favorite part of this guy. Then you'll also find his legs, which are, of course, bent, as they always are, and it turns out the reason they do that is for shipping purposes. It will not fit in the box unless it is bent. Unfortunately, the only way to prevent that is to make the box just unreasonably long as that piece. So yeah. Then we have his shoulder frame, this being the back right here and this being the front. And with his speaker box and all the other wires that you connect to the head and his torso. So this is his torso that I mentioned, where he gets most of his movement from. His side-to-side motion comes from here. This is his lower part right here that connects to his legs. Piece of cardboard, which I did keep intact for this video and for shipping purposes, or for storage purposes. His instructions, which I did take out and did read at the time. I believe I should be able to set him up without these. But there is one part that I will explain when I get to it that I did have a little bit of trouble with that caused me some confusion there. His clothes, or his, I believe this is just his shirt. Yep, this is just his shirt. This being the front. Not exactly part of yours if you buy a Bog Zombie, but the Bog Zombie little price point sign. If you guys want to see that here, just something I grabbed from the store. It was going to get thrown out anyway, so I threw it in the box. Wasn't sure exactly who was going to end up with Bog Zombie. So whoever, there's a few other animatronics out there that people bought, and I left the price point signs in there for them. So even though they got them for 50% off of what that price was. Here are his pants, which I believe still have the S label on them. Interestingly enough, that's my doing. One of the leg pulls These were in there as well. These kept the poles from being dented, so if you have a new one that has never been a display, they will have these wrapped to keep the leg poles from denting inwards and no longer locking in, which is really nice. So that's an advantage of buying a new one, of course, but I have no problem with it because I know exactly what happened to this one because he was our display. Adapter, which will come wrapped in here in this box labeled 8. So next in the box here will be his base. I believe this way will be the front, I think, or the back. Yeah, this will be the back. You'll have the letter A facing forward the correct way, so you should be able to read it facing that way if it's pointed towards you. I believe. Don't quote me on that right now. We'll see how it goes. His two leg poles, this is C and this is B. One for each leg here. You'll figure out which one goes to where as you stack the poles. They will just, I believe, just line up, I think. I'll get more details on each of that as I actually get to the steps. His bone, which I did struggle with figuring out which way it's supposed to be facing, and I don't know if I can exactly remember how it goes then, and I did have some trouble with it setting it up at the time, but it shouldn't be too hard. This is his hip loop right here, which is labeled something G, I think. The sticker's coming off, but you know, his hip pole here. Both of his feet, which are just essentially just bones. SVI is kind of not the greatest at the feet. Most of the time they're usually very simple, very cheap. These are no exception. I do like the detailing and they get the point across. There's really no complaints of these, but these feel a bit less detailed than everything else here included, in my opinion. But they work, and really, they're just feet, so who cares? This is the other leg pole for the other leg, because there's two sets, or two of each. We're getting near the bottom here. His two arms, which are a bit taped up, and I don't think I did that. I believe that's how it was, just to keep them together. They're both labeled N, or M and N, I believe. And last but not least, which are honestly pretty cool, are his hands, P and O. Now, these are different, but you can kind of see that they are almost like a retextured version of the twitching clown hands. If you look at them and just the way that they're positioned, they look like twitching clown hands. Obviously, they've been resculpted and all that stuff, but kind of interesting how SVI can recycle the parts, but make them look very different and very distinct. And so I think that's pretty cool. So that's everything that is included with the Bog Zombie that you'll need to set him up, of course. So yeah, let's get to setting him up. Alright, so for now, I've set the base on the this tub here just for so that you guys can kind of see it. I'll put it back down when we start to get to steps where it doesn't really matter if you see the bottom right now. So after you've got your base set up like so, you're going to want to take the 2 feet. Now remember, the big toes should be facing each other, so this is the correct way to have them. You slide them over the little pole spots like so. I would recommend doing it now. You can do it a little bit later. But if you do it now, it'll just make it easier. They're out of the way. They're set. Then you're going to want to take C and B. Now, where I'm standing is the back of the base. Towards you is the front. You want the pole labeled B with the little square loop back here to be in the back. So you just slide that in to stack the poles here. And then the remaining one, C, goes right here. Then you can take both pole D and pole D and put one on each side here. Since this leg, does not have this little loop here, it will use the one white foam piece as the form. So you will slide this one over like so. Now, on this side does have this loop, which is intended for this piece labeled K. Now you want to face K with this big part facing down. The thin part stays towards the top, the thin part, or the fat, big, round part towards the bottom. And that will rest on that loop piece right here, and that will face like so. Next step is I'm going to be sliding the clothes over, or at least the pants over. Now, the side with all the moss and stuff is the front. You can also see that there's an opening on the left side here for this piece. So, you can just slide the, once again, make sure that that the pants are facing the right way, and feed it through this part, which is the trickiest part, is just getting it through here with this extra bone piece there. But other than that, it's not too tricky. And then you slide it through on the other side. This side will be, obviously, will stay a lot easier because there's no hole. But there is a hole on this side, which aligns this piece of fabric, Velcro, right here, aligns with a piece of Velcro that's on the bone slash like leg femur thing. And that just attaches on there. And then, actually, before you do that, you want to make sure to slide the pants up as high as you can. And make sure that it actually fits into the pole there so it doesn't just get stuck. And make sure that the pole is able to stick out of the actual bottom waistband of the pants before you use the Velcro to stick anything together. It's just going to make things a little bit easier and nothing's going to get stuck and try to separate and pull away. So there is a piece of Velcro that Velcros to this side that corresponds to this piece of fabric right here. And then there's a additional piece of fabric right here that I can't seem to actually find another piece of Velcro to like go to. So if there is a spot and one of you guys know about it, or have a bog zombie and are able to find it, let me know in the comments below. I can't seem to find it. And it's honestly not a big deal. Like when it's fully assembled, you won't even notice, and that piece of fabric, Velcro, doesn't really do much of anything. Like, I don't think it's holding anything on. So I'm just going to leave it. If it's the same case for you and you can't find anything, you can also just leave it. It doesn't really affect anything, and you can't tell. I don't even know if it really secures to anything. So, last step that I'll do before I will move this down is attach his base right here, or his mechanism for his side-to-side movement, and that just plugs in very simply here. You might have to, there you go, just force it down there, locks into place, very sturdy, and yeah. So now I'm going to move it down, and then we will continue with the setup. So the next step is using this hip loop, and you put the hip loop in place. This hole has a bigger opening, and this one has a smaller one. This is a larger, thicker sized pole, and this is a thinner one, so obviously it goes this way with the tag facing the front, like so. That locks into place, and then you want to take the pants and you'll just put them over like so, in whatever way you want. You can always adjust it later, but that's the general idea. And then I'm also going to slide his leg a little bit over here. So it does look a little bit awkward at the moment, but it'll look better once I get it fully aligned here. I believe it'll actually pull over a little bit more than that. Or his clothes will drape over this part anyhow. But next step is going to be attaching his shoulder piece right here, which obviously the side of the opening is where the head is going to be, so that will face the front. like so. And then you want to put this blue cord, plug that in. Right now, you might as well. It just makes everything a little bit easier. Then we're going to drape his clothes on. There's a side with Velcro that is going to be facing back because that is where you can get his controls and all of that stuff, and as well as buttoning his clothes up when you're setting him up, like we're about to now. So I like to throw the opening, the bottom opening, over the shoulder here. You can kind of work it on. I remember when I first set this guy up in the store, I did struggle with it. It kept facing the wrong way for whatever reason, which is kind of funny, but as you can see this time I got it just fine. So next you can see that their arms, this is the spot for his arms and the other one is over there. These use a pretty interesting locking mechanism for the arms that we don't usually see by SBI, and they're very, very simple. They're just little hooks. As maybe you can see, they're just tiny hooks. There's no forks, even though the fork things are for the hands. They just don't use it for his the connection to his shoulders, which I think might be to help when he moves so that his arm kind of does that swinging motion. I believe that's what that's for. So that's kind of interesting. This is a slightly smaller opening loop, and this has the slightly smaller pole once again. So if you don't feel like reading the instructions or you just don't know, you can't put the wrong arm in the wrong side with this. They've basically coded it on sides, which is honestly kind of nice because it's pretty helpful, pretty quick, it's super easy to figure out. So if you have any doubts, just realize you can't really do it wrong because they won't let you do it wrong. If you need to force it in there, then it's obviously the wrong arm. So we'll slide this in now. And then I will slide his shirt back up here because it seems to have fallen off. Just a little bit. We're going to do the same with this hand now, this arm. And that will also help keep the clothes in place once we have both the arms in. And we are nearing the end of his setup. He is a very simple animatronic to set up. He is very cool, very creepy, and he's really not that hard to set up if you once you kind of get the gist of it and you know what you're doing. It's quite easy, actually. So there we go. That is him nearly complete. Now, I'm not sure how he, I can't remember for certain how he comes in the store, but that you might need to put the motion sensor through the Velcro up here, like so. As you can see, it's sticking up. I'm pointing to it. You might have to do that, you might not. I can't exactly remember how it was, but just wanted to make that note. So one of the semi-final steps here is his hands. You want the thumbs facing inwards. He is a zombie, which implies that he was part human. So, unless he's an alien, his thumbs should be facing each other. So, we're going to put this in like so. I really do think his hands look super cool. And so then you can slide the sleeves over, and the sleeves themselves will have a piece of Velcro to correspond to the Velcro that is on his hands themselves, so that they stay and don't slide down and ruin the effect, which is nice. They've been doing that for years, but still nice that it's there. And you can see that this is the one of the bigger arm, which allows the arm to sway a little bit, to kind of do a little bit of a, almost like a slashing motion, or to like kind of try to grab at the person walking by. It's a little slow, so it's kind of hard to tell if that's exactly what they were going for, but that's kind of what it seems like to me. This one particular model, the way I had him set up, and I don't know if it's just how it is, he doesn't swing a whole lot, but as you can see, the potential is there in both arms, actually. but especially this one. So now we have, of course, my favorite step, as I always like to say, attaching the head, which just looks awesome. Like I said before, the eyes are cool. I like that they're green. Of course, they glow yellow, as is common, but very cool, very creepy, kind of gross, actually, too. So you slide this. So this has a trident kind of thing, like a three-forked feature. However, there is only a hole for one. And obviously you want to put the middle one through. And I assume that the other two forks are kind of meant to just kind of support it a little bit, even though they aren't really locking into anything. Then you can position this any way you want. I believe this is pretty close to how they have it, like on the box or whatever. If you can see that, I'm going to have to adjust the camera in a second here. But before we do that, let's plug in the colored wires, so you can just kind of feed that through however you want. Just make sure to keep it out of the way of his movement. And maybe don't want to interfere with the plastic shoulder frame. Plug red into red and black into black. And at this point you can plug in his adapter, make any necessary adjustments to his outfit and clothes that you want, and then turn him on and see if he works. Yeah, guys, that was the unboxing, setup, and demo of Spirit Halloween 2022 Bog Zombie. Very, very cool animatronic. I'm excited to have this one in my collection, to have this guy on the channel so I can do hopefully a 4K demo of some kind for him eventually. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to do it in the near future or if I'm going to do it in 2023 when I have... I probably will save it for 2023 when I have a good spot to do it in, with maybe an more appropriate setting. Maybe I can do something kind of bog themed for it. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet, but just letting you guys know, I'm probably planning on waiting on a 4K demo of this guy, just considering the fact that it is snowy out, and that's not exactly what we want to go for when we have, like, a Halloween animatronic. You know, it's a little too soon for snow when you've got Halloween stuff, but I'm trying to do a little content for you guys year-round, hopefully, so that's why I brought you guys this guy now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, found this helpful. I don't know how many of you maybe need this at this point, this late in the game. Maybe if he's around next year, this will help somebody, or if you're getting, maybe if you guys happen to get this guy as a gift and you need a little help, hopefully this video is helpful, or maybe you guys just enjoyed the video and just watched it for fun. Really appreciate you guys if you're doing that. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, for whatever reason you chose to watch. I really appreciate it. And, yeah. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.